Welcome back to our podcast with top engineering and marketing leadership. I'm Nate McGuire, and today we have Gabriel from Userlytics, who's the marketing director. Gabriel, could you introduce yourself and tell us a bit about the company?
Sure, and thanks for having me, Nate. Name is Gabriel. I work for Userlytics, and Userlytics is a remote user testing platform that was founded in 2009 in San Francisco. And basically, Userlytics allows you to test any digital asset, whether it's a prototype, an application, website, on any device, really, with real users. So Userlytics has a panel right now of over 2 million participants that has actually been growing organically since 2009. So we do allow our customers to recruit participants from our panel. Um, and and these participants, while they're doing a user experience test, we would be recording their webcam, screen, and audio. If it's an unmoderated test, we offer 3 types of services. One of them is unmoderated testing, where the participant is taking the test remotely at their own time, and we would be recording screen, webcam, and audio, and they would be going through a predefined list of questions that the client usually provides. Although Userlytics also offers services related to UX consulting, where we can design the test script for you. There's also moderated testing, which you can think of as one interview with a participant. There's a higher level of personalization. They're also a little bit more expensive. And a little bit more time consuming for clients. And finally, also quant testing. And as of late, we've noticed a trend where more and more of our clients want a hybrid approach to UX testing, where they want to mix both qual insights with quant insights. So yeah, in a nutshell, those are the 3 services we offer. And as I mentioned, we do also have a UX consulting team that can basically run your moderated sessions, analyze the sessions, prepare a report with insights, etc.
Ni- Nice. Yeah, I started our recording because I wanted to make sure we recorded the questions I was going to ask, and so you told me a bit about how you came up through sales into marketing, and it sounds to me like the product offering. I have a lot of PhD friends who came out of school and went into like user experience research, especially at like big companies. With what we do with engineering, we don't do like a ton of user experience testing in such a quantitative, like in-depth way. But I'd be curious to hear like, the ideal customer profile. Is it somebody at like a big company, a medium company? And how do you guys think about, especially since you have a sales and marketing brain, like how do you think about like attracting new customers and what they look like?
Sure, absolutely. As to our ICP, I'll first start with the job titles in order of importance. User researchers are the main users of our platform.
So those PhDs I was talking about, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
UX designers would be second. They're frequent. UX designers don't usually design the test script, analyze the insights. They might watch a recording or a clip here and there to help with their designs. But in any case, we also sell to UX designers, product managers, and finally marketers. We're really industry agnostic, I would say.
That's kind of anybody with like software, basically.
Exactly. I mean, if you have a website or an application or a potential customer of ours, I feel that everyone could benefit from user testing.
Totally.
We do sell more in the, I guess, healthcare sector and the financial sector.
Oh, interesting. Is that because of like regulations?
Not really. I would say a lot of these financial institutions have a lot of applications and are really customer centric. So having a good user experience is of the utmost importance to them. Same with healthcare and
Right.
education, of course.
Totally, totally. And so when you started the transition into marketing, sounds like you've been with Userlytics since they were real small. And so what did that motion look like? Is it more, paid acquisition driven, organic driven, more like enterprise sales? How do you think about it now in your marketing director role?
Sure. So about 90% of the leads we get are inbound leads driven by our marketing efforts. About 10% of the leads we get are driven by our outbound efforts, but that's mostly managed by our sales team. But within those 90% of inbound leads, I would say approximately 70% come from paid advertising efforts, mostly Google ads, although we do run LinkedIn remarketing campaigns or sometimes more content focused campaigns for whenever we have an upcoming webinar, if we want to promote a podcast or a white paper, we sometimes do run LinkedIn campaigns as we do find them more effective.
So you guys have like a pretty robust paid acquisition group. Yeah, nice.
I would say and the remaining 30% is mostly organic, which has been growing as of late. And this is something that I have noticed as a change in both the paid and the organic side of marketing with the evolution of AI. In terms of SEO is moving towards what they call answer engine optimization, so AEO. So basically,
I
people.
haven't heard that yet, but I assume that's like ChatGPT answers basically.
Exactly. I mean, since Google, what's the name of it? Since Google released the search generative experience results, when you type in
Mhm.
Google, you see all of those AI overviews. There has been a very sudden shift in SEO to what we call AEO. So I guess in SEO, we used to focus on keyword-based pages. So you might write
Right.
20 blogs, I don't know, targeting the keyword affinity mapping. But the playing field has changed completely, and people are looking, so SEO is now more focused on intent driven answers. So, for example, somebody searching for a business might type in Google, hey, best user testing platforms. And these AI overviews would give you a recommendation of 6 different user testing platforms or the 6 best user testing platforms. So, content marketers and SEO specialists have to really focus that content on more, I guess, more how-to guides or guides that break down what are the best prototype testing platforms, best user testing platforms, and that helps serves the search generative experience of Google, as well as ChatGPT and other LLMs.
And how are you orienting your team in this kind of new AI world? Are you guys, using it heavily in your day to day? And I spoke with another marketing director yesterday about how they're using it for, they do a lot of research and documentation around ideal customer profiles and identification and this kind of thing. And she actually built an internal ChatGPT so that her, all this documentation that's like, it almost sounded like too much, like documenting tons and tons and tons. And then using the GPT for her team to almost like search her brain about things when they had questions. I'd be curious to hear how y'all are using it because it seems like everyone is doing something with AI now.
Sure. And I guess this is somewhat of a controversial statement, but I do think that with automation is killing in a way creativity, which is something.
Yeah, it's all AI slop.
Exactly. So before a marketer, I don't know, had to spend hours drafting a headline, scraping it, starting over, juggling between different descriptions. Now they just throw in a prompt, play around with it. They like it, they might keep it and show it to their superior. If they don't, they'll throw a couple of other prompts and see what comes out. So I do think that in a way, AI is killing creativity for marketers. That being said, we do rely on AI heavily, researching content. I tend to prefer not to rely a lot on scaling our content production just by using different LLMs, as I do think it sometimes misses a human touch. And I've seen a lot of blog drafts that are completely written by ChatGPT, and at least in my case,
It's pretty easy to tell.
yeah, exactly. So within content, we use it more research purpose, build the outline of a blog, an industry report, a white paper. So they're great tools to scale the research of content. We are using it a lot, especially recently for video/media production, as well as different images we want to build on the website.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that because you said Google search was like the primary one, but I've seen with some, friends companies and stuff like the photography that you can get without a photo shoot now is pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's definitely insane.
And that's so costly for like a marketing team to have a shoot every week or every other week, making new stuff versus just a few prompts. Like,
Definitely. And I would say that's what AI has helped us the most with is scaling both design and media video production more than content.
right. And what's your team composition?
So
Like, how big is the marketing part?
sure. So we have myself and we have a paid advertising specialist. We have 2 content writers, designer, technology marketing lead that also works with a media production intern and SEO specialist.
So like a pretty standard like demand gen marketing team, not too big, not too small.
Yes. And I would say our head of content also serves in a way a product marketing role.
Yeah. And from the tech side with your website and everything, is that something that you have the internal product team building, or is marketing kind of in charge of like your website and anything acquisition funnel related?
Marketing is in charge of that process.
What do you see kind of moving forward as some of the opportunities with AI and things that you guys are working on, or maybe what are you most excited about?
I'm not sure if excited would be the right word. Something I'm a little, I would say, worried about because it's still so new that I'm not sure how will affect Google Ads. As I told you before, we do rely a lot on Google Ads. And as people rely less and less on Google search and switch to different LLMs to search for whatever product they're using or compare different products, pros and cons, it's becoming a little bit tough. And I know that Google Ads is trying to move towards a keywordless environment. They recently launched, I believe it was 2 weeks ago, this new AI Power Pack, and they want all their customers to move away from exact and phrase match keywords to more broad match keywords that would actually
I think I've heard of that AI Power Pack, huh?
AI Power Pack, and it includes different services that already Google Ads offers. So, for example, PMax campaigns that we've actually never really tried. And the reason we haven't really tried these campaigns is because 90 to 95% of the traffic we get to our website is testers. So people just
Mm.
wanting to sign up to our panel to earn some extra.
Yeah, because you have like millions and millions of these testers, which I would assume is good for your SEO and like site traffic, but maybe not great for user acquisition or
Exactly.
customer acquisition rather.
It does provide a challenge in marketing because
And it's probably super international when maybe your customers come from, larger cities, larger countries.
yes. So we relied in the past a lot on negative keywords. So keywords like earn money online or userlytics test or whatever it might be, we would add in as negative keywords to prevent those testers, to prevent actually using our advertising money towards those testers and focus on.
Right, right. You don't want to pay for someone clicking on, like a tester clicking on your ad.
Exactly. But with this
So
change,
you,
since they're moving to a keywordless or broad batch keyword environment, we don't have as much control anymore.
I see. So potentially this could hurt your budgets because you are spending on something you don't want to spend on. I hadn't really thought about that.
So, I mean, I'm excited to see what it brings and how Google manages this whole shift into more AI-based paid marketing field. I know ChatGPT is also exploring, or I've heard through the grapevines at least, also some sort of paid advertising model. Although they had always mentioned they would always um, they would never get into advertising. So, still to be seen. A little bit scary, also a little bit exciting.
Yeah, it makes me wonder with like, because like you're saying, if less people are using Google, does that mean the PPC goes up or does it go down? Or does it become even more valuable because when you do use Google, I almost find I'm looking like I know what I'm looking for very specifically, versus ChatGPT's like I might ask a more kind of esoteric general question.
That's a great point. We haven't, for now, we haven't really noticed a shift on our cost per click. I would say over the last month, cost per acquisition in Google Ads has gone up. And that might be because people are switching more to LLMs to do their uh, buyer research.
Yeah. Yeah. So less volume.
And we definitely saw a shift in November, starting in November, I think it was late November, of getting a ton more. I wouldn't label them as organic because they're coming from LLMs. Our CRM, we're getting a ton of leads, and our CRM
Interesting.
comes from Perplexity, ChatGPT, Gemini, whatever it might be.
And are they sending like UTM links so it's easy to identify, or have you guys had to like dig in to really figure that out?
Yeah, we have UTM installed to be able to track that within our CRM. It's not 100% accurate, but it does give us an idea of how many leads we're we're getting through those channels.
Yeah, it never is. And that leads me to a question I always am curious with marketers. Like, what analytics platforms do you guys use? Are you relying like mostly on Google Analytics, or do you have like some other preferred tool that you like to use? Like for some of the stuff we've worked on, I've noticed GA has gotten less and less and less reliable over time.
Yes, 100%. Ever since they switched to
Uni-
GA4, I think that was
yeah.
June or July 2023, Google Analytics for me has become really
Um,
unreliable. Um,
yeah.
I think it's more focused towards B2C than B2B. We still use it, and also when in Europe, I think this was last April, they implemented this new cookie policy. If anybody rejects cookies when they visit our site, we totally lose that data.
Exactly. It's gone. Yeah.
So we're not really relying that much on the data that Google Analytics spits out. I would say from an SEO perspective, we mostly rely, and we think it's more reliable, on Google's Search Console, as well as our own CRM,
What do you guys use for CRM, or did you build something?
Salesforce, and
Yep.
Ergo.
Nice. So you mentioned earlier when we were chatting that you're in London now, but you also spent some time in SF and now in Miami. How do you see some of the differences? Like, so I also have traveled and lived kind of in a few places, most recently Istanbul for 2 years, and I lived in Barcelona for about a year. How do you see kind of the startup tech scene differently as someone who's, traveled quite a bit, but also been in the heart of the valley?
Sure. It's a great question. London is probably one of the most cosmopolitan cities I've ever lived in, and that's very nice for a change because living in Spain for most of my life, I've always been surrounded Spanish environment.
Yeah, right.
Going to SF, it's really California, US focused. Miami is really Latin, I would say. London is nice for a change in that sense.
It's more like a Singapore or a New York even, but even New York's pretty American.
It's more like New York, I would say, but as you say, yeah, New York is much more American than London. I would say that the tech scene here is not as tech/startup scene is not as big as, of course, San Francisco or Miami. Even Madrid is growing a lot in that sense. It's not what it used to be. I would say London is more focused on the financial sector. I mean, it's probably the financial hub of the world. So that's one big difference I noticed versus Miami and SF especially.
Which one's your favorite? I mean, you can nowhere in Spain because we all know Spain is the best.
Okay. That is between Miami, London, and San Francisco.
Or maybe somewhere you haven't tried. Yeah.
I also lived in Kuala Lumpur, so
Oh, wow. Yeah.
if I had to choose, I would go to Southeast Asia. Probably not Kuala Lumpur, probably a place like Singapore or maybe Japan. Call me more. But between Miami, London, and stuff, I would probably say, honestly, Miami, but
Huh.
just because of the quality of life you have in Miami compared to.
Yeah. Yeah. SF doesn't have a lot going on besides work, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. Well, cool. Is there anything else you wanted to mention about Userlytics or marketing or favorite tips, tools, anything for the people out there before we wrap up?
Sure. I guess as a last point, related to the AI and the shift we're noticing in user experience, and this is just an assumption, by the way. It's still to be seen, but I feel that user experience is shifting to what they call human experience. So basically, as automation increases and interfaces get a little bit more predictable, and in turn more usable, I must admit, I think the digital landscape is going to feel very sterile. You visit different websites and they all have the exact same structure. There's a lot of consistency. It is usable. It's probably efficient as well, but also feel that it makes all these websites forgettable. And I feel what users will really crave in the future is more of a connection. So they want to see more of the human aspect of the products they use. So I do think that user experience is moving towards that direction, more of an emotional connection rather than making the one.
Nostalgia based. I'm seeing a lot of cool. I have a favorite music app. It started out as Pool Suite, No, I think it's called something similar, but it's like it looks like a retro computer, like you're in the 80s at the beach, and it's music just for the summertime. But yeah, I totally agree with you. We're gonna have these sterile standard interfaces, and I think for like most stuff, like banking apps, like standardized things, that's okay. But sometimes you want a little more connection. That's a good point. Awesome. Well, thank you. This has been Gabriel from Userlytics, the marketing director, and I appreciate you taking the time to meet with me today.
Thanks for having me, Nate. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks.